training people to do interfaith spiritual care as chaplains and spiritual directors. As many of you know, you have gone through our programs and gotten that supportive process through the program and a dynamic evolving curriculum. And if any of you don't know about the Chaplaincy Institute programs and you want to know more about it, we'd love to tell you more, because we are an ever expanding and evolving community and we love to bring new people in. So I think that's all there is to say at the moment. But again, be in touch with me. I'm Katrina at thechaplaincyinstitute.org. If you want to know anything more about our programs, I'd love to share more. And Carrie, would you like to introduce our marvelous guest?
Sure, everybody. Hi, my name is Carrie Kopnick and I serve the Chaplaincy Institute as our community minister. We're so glad that you've joined us today for the ChI Talks. This is a monthly event exploring the facets of spirituality through an interfaith lens with the ChI community. We invite you to join us every month on the third Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific. I hope you'll enjoy, I hope you'll join us for our next ChI Talks on November 15th with Reverend Andrew Gregg. He'll be talking about the journey to professional chaplaincy. We're recording our session today, so if you wish not to be on camera, please turn off your video and your image will not appear in the recording. We'll have time at the end for questions about today's topic or for questions about the Chaplaincy Institute. Katrina and I will both be here to answer. This month's ChI Talk topic is Ministry in the Streets, founding a nonprofit ministry with Reverend Anne-Marie Coletta from Raising Sparks Interfaith Ministry. Reverend Anne-Marie was ordained in 2019 by the Chaplaincy Institute. She and co-founder Greg spend their time making food, hygiene kits, and notes of inspiration and love for the unhoused and marginalized neighbors. They are doing love ministry together with all beings to reflect compassion, acceptance, joy, and light with those they meet and have the honor to spend time with. Thanks, Reverend Anne-Marie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to be with my cheeples. It's wonderful to see everyone. And even if your face isn't showing, I can feel you. I'm stoked to be here. So this is wonderful. And Katrina will answer all of your questions. And even if you have 57 questions per day and you send them one email at a time, I know from experience, she will answer all of them. She will not ever leave you hanging. So yeah, Chaplaincy Institute, that's my plug. So I didn't prepare too much because I used to prepare a lot for everything. And as many of, there's a lot of wise beings in this circle right now. I venture to say everyone in this circle is a wise being. You know, that doesn't always work, all the planning, all the trying. So I want to tell you what my experience personally has been and how the obstacles that I've been able to work with to success in this, to allowing it to unfold. And then just briefly on the nonprofit piece, because that's actually, well, you'll see when I talk about the first part. So I worked in mental health and social services and substance use treatment for 3 decades in different capacities. 2 of those decades, I was drunk myself and also using drugs, but was able to function at work and was able to, you know, do the work that I was asked to do and then some. And I was very driven and I was very passionate and I was very angry at the system and how people were treated. But I kind of just chugged along because I was having my own conditions that needed treatment. And once I did that and once I got sober, like 12 years ago or so, and I found out what is needed to heal, that is when it really hit me that, wow, this isn't something being offered. Like, this is something I really need: spiritual care, love, radical acceptance, respect, you know, not being othered, because, you know, all those things, like, and I knew that, I realized that's why I had gotten so sick working in the system. So we'll fast forward to those were the roots. And of course, my partner Gregory has his own sort of root story. But in the actual format, here's the deal. We knew why we wanted to do what we wanted to do because of embodied experience and experience as a provider in the system. So the why, right? The why was really, really clear, really clear. And then we did the work. We didn't go to the how and the what and like build committees to figure out who was going to do what and what your title's going to be and any of that crap. We went right to, he was bringing the sandwiches, I'm doing the individual care, we're doing crisis intervention, we're just out there, right, as volunteers. I was able to build the skeleton of the why and the how while I was at ChI during my independent internship, instead of doing CPE, which I thought I was supposed to do. So just a plug for doing what your heart says, not what your head says sometimes. But so at any rate, the fact was that we knew that what we needed to do was offer what we had to offer, and then keep tending our own gardens so that we could be better at what we were doing, and we could do it more sustainably. So the first piece of wisdom I have to share about this is, find a way to do my work. I found a way to do my work. I'd set up a little, internship at Healing Well and met with people one-on-one. I walked around dragging a big bag of stuff with me through the Tenderloin, talked to people, wore a little, did my things, and we just did it. And so in doing the work, and scraping by with donations and working other jobs and that kind of stuff, I began meeting myself more and more. It was like having a baby. It was like having a baby, and the kid is like teaching you all this shit you never wanted to know. And I started seeing the obstacles to success for me in terms of being successful, being financially solvent, having a ministry that can stick around, having a model that can be shared, like all these really cool things. We were just like doggy paddling to make sure. I didn't want to miss a spiritual care call. I didn't want to miss an event. If Greg doesn't go out and see people after a day or two, I'll send him out to see people, because that's what makes us happy. So this is where I found out that it was so much for us about allowing ourselves to heal and grow along with the people we serve and minister to. And that's profound, because a lot of people don't even want to talk about that. Like, a lot of us came into this as martyrs and like, with a cape, and a lot of people, it's tender and hard to start like pouring that love on yourself. But what we figured out for our nonprofit is that it had to be different than the meat grinders where we've worked, and it had to, so that became very important. So for a long time, like 2 or 3 years, it was spit and duct tape. This thing was held together. We had like benevolent, generous people who would shoot us some money here and there. We had a couple people in our inner circle with money who were able to keep us afloat. But we reached a place earlier this year where we're running out of money. And I was running out of the energy to pretend to be an executive director. So I got the 501c3 on LegalZoom online, and I was frantic the whole time. And my sister talked me down off the ledge like 50 times, but like, so you can do it yourself, right? Like so number one, we found ways to just do the work out of our own pocket on our own time, and then we started to meet like the stuff that needed healing in ourselves in order for the ministry to grow. It's like the baby couldn't grow if mama and papa didn't sort of do their counseling, get their shit together individually and as a couple. It was like a family system to me. So learning that, meeting myself, and then learning that we're actually co-healing with the people we're working with, and that needs to be built into the nonprofit. So at this point, I'm desperate. There's no money. I'm sick, I'm getting depressed, I could develop this weird sciatica in my leg, all the somatic stuff starts happening, and I'm like, and then went back to a family reunion that just sealed the deal. I came home just like a puddle, right? And what arose was, I had been operating with an unconscious story the whole time, which was I had to make this work. I had to make it successful. I had to learn to fundraise. I had to learn to be a businesswoman, or I was going to fail everybody. All alone, me. And that's a family system thing. That's not true. We don't do it like that, right? So I got so sick and so depressed that I said, forget it. And I said, Greg, I can't run this thing anymore. I'll talk to people over a coffee counter and pour coffee for a living. I don't care. I can't do this. I'm not good at it. I don't know how to do it. And I called my family and said, I'm done. I love you guys. Whatever judgments there may fly about this, I don't care. You've invested. I'm done. I'm going to just raise sparks my own way. I cried out a year of tears about my younger self always trying to be perfect and all that crap, or you have to show you're doing it. Show everybody you're doing it. And the next day we got a person reached out to us through a little ad we made for a volunteer grant writer. And her name is Reverend Wida Joa Cooper Rodriguez, who many years ago worked at ChI, many years ago. And she's a brilliant organizational developer. And this is the mission she's been waiting for. And like 2 months ago, this happened, right? And so I said, oh, well, you're going to rescue us. So just stick around and take all the money. And we don't care. Just take the money, give us the peanut butter, let us. And of course she said, oh, that is sweet. But I'm looking for full-time work that will meet my, needs. She's like, but I'll stick around a little while for you. In letting go internally of clinging to Reverend Wida, I turned to my partner and I said, hey, maybe somebody younger will come along who doesn't need a lot of money, who's all gung-ho to help, who knows how to write grants. Ladies, gentlemen, siblings, I kid you not, the next day, Katie Na emails. She's just graduated USF. She's the president of her own nonprofit in education, 22 years old, one of the oldest souls I've ever met. And she's like, I really want to help you. And I don't care in what capacity. And I know how to write grants. That was like the understatement of the century. She's brilliant. These two brilliant women came our way. So this is the reason I'm not talking about 501c3s and developing strategic plans and all that is because that is not my purview. And I invited Katie to come and she got caught up in a work issue. I'm talking about, it wouldn't be happening if we hadn't sort of done the work first and found a way to do it no matter what, and then met the obstacles, the internal obstacles for it to grow, like letting go of control and letting go and trusting and offering this to now a team of people to help develop. None of that stuff, that was all really super hard. Actually, it's easier to write a strategic plan and get a 501c3 and do a projected budget. And all of those things come into play in forming a nonprofit. I just don't know how to do them and never did. And so my work was, can I hold the mission and vision very, very carefully and with great thoughtfulness? And stand up anytime something's going that's diluting the mission, that's changing the vision, that will always be my soapbox. But I can let go of the crosses I was carrying about it. And I can let go of feeling vaguely guilty or like a semi-failure because I wasn't bringing in any money and I wasn't doing the things that people with nonprofits do. So my other suggestion is, besides like devoting myself to the work and the mission and then the self-care and the healing, was really being open to the universe sending the people that you need for your nonprofit. Because holy crap, guys, they sent us these two women that are absolutely at the top of their game. They're just, and they really feel the mission. They're like, we want to do this because this is what we were looking for, And so being open like that, I think that's really important. And I didn't know I wasn't open I don't know what time it is, but stop me. Because I kept saying, I need someone to help us. Will someone please help us? Who will help us? And I asked a bunch of people in our circle who were donating and who would like got us the business cards and stuff, but nobody stuck. Nothing stuck. And I was like, I don't know why. No one will. We can't. I have to do it. And so when I went deeper and I worked out that I didn't have to do it, that's when I made room for these amazing beings to come in who have excellent skills at the things I'm not good at and don't know how to do. So that the other thing is like doing the work instead of trying to get the nonprofit first, doing what makes you happy, doing the work. And then it's like all this stuff starts to happen that says go this way. And I know I may be absolutely preaching to the choir because I'm in a very wise circle. This is just my experience, you know. And the other was being like finding the humility that came through self-healing, that came through self-forgiveness, to really open up and ask for help. I said, okay, I'm done pretending I can keep this going. I will go get a job at a coffee shop. I give. And that's what that's what made room for some excellent human beings to come into the ministry just these last couple months. And we're actually feeling, you know, really hopeful and well taken care of, that we now have people who have the skills to support sustainability. And Greg and I, on our end, our sustainability lies in our wellness, and we both know that. And we're very, very aware of that every single day. And so that's the focus then of our work culture as well. And that's what we hope to share with people who come work with us, is that we are the people we serve. So if I'm not taking care of this one, you know, I'm not taking as good a care of that one as I can, actually. So I think that's my talk. I don't know that I have that much more to say, but I can now answer logistical questions about nonprofits because of Katie and Wida, because they're teaching me what the hell to do. But thanks for letting me share my experience. Yeah.
Anne Marie, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and just to say how beautiful it is for those of you who I may not have caught Carrie saying that Anne Marie was ordained by the Chaplaincy Institute, and obviously you spoke to that yourself, but seeing someone come through the program and then go out in the world and create this amazingly beautiful thing, which seeing the emails and the updates, it's just amazing what you've done. And I honor that. And thank you for sharing that. I just had to say that to everybody. So now we have time for questions for Anne Marie, and a bit later, questions about Chaplaincy Institute, if you have those also. But first, let's focus on Anne Marie and any questions you all have for her. Just jump right in.
I think just unmute and go. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Marie, I'm Greg. Hi.
Hi.
I'm curious. I mean, you've kind of alluded to a little bit, but you know, what is now the day in the life of Anne Marie like? What all are you doing? I'm really curious. And Carrie had sent us via the chat the information for your site, but I'm just curious, what is a day-to-day for you?
Well, I will tell you, that's a great question. And up until July, a day for me was like waking up with a general sense of dread, working that out through my morning practice, and then doing spiritual care calls. So I have people that I see on Zoom weekly or the phone or sometimes in person, and who I text with in between. And so I do our version of spiritual care, which I call Interfaith Harm Reduction spiritual care, which involves a lot of disclosure, a lot of like really authentic relationship building. So I do a couple of those a day. And so before July, I'll do a couple of those a day, or go visit somebody at a hotel or out on the street or in an encampment and do the love ministry that we do, the friendship ministry. And then just go home and go, and kind of like, you know, put on a movie and pull a blanket up, because I didn't have the support for the nonprofit part. All of a sudden now, kind of over the last few weeks, a day looks like I get up, I do my little meditation, I check in with my partner, I enjoy my coffee, I still often like see 2 or 3 people a day, either from home or out in the community, or there's certain areas we visit. I don't go out every day. And by like noon, I start early. So at like noon or 1 o'clock, everything starts. I might have a call at 7 a.m., you know, so by 1 or 2, I don't pressure myself to do more. I try to exhale and relax and just work on like kind of letting this thing unfold without inserting myself into a process that does not need fixing. That's what the days are like right now. Horror movies, then of course, dinner, a walk, that kind of stuff. Maybe a call with a family member or friend.
Sounds wonderful. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. We're really kind of blown away right now. It's a special day today. Actually, that I'm sharing this with you guys because we had our first annual meeting, which I guess is something nonprofits have that I didn't know about. And we're putting board members in who were like super invested in the mission, and I just can't believe it. And it was just from kind of like keep on trying and do the work and hanging out with the higher power and stuff, and then muddling through these character patterns that I needed to work out so that I could let people help us. Yeah.
But I would like to go, and it's all been fascinating, but there's a part of it that's missing. That's my world. And one of the first things I need to ask, Barbara, are you the Unitarian from, hello, long time. Okay, from Mission Bay or whatever.
Mission Peak
Mission
Unitarian
Peak.
Universalist.
At any rate, I've been a religious educator in the denomination and then got ordained by chaplaincy at the beginning, way, when we first started. Anyway, my pattern is if I can't work, if I can't get paid, I volunteer. So I have volunteered at churches. The most I made was in 1968 was $7,200 annually. I haven't done that since. I had a ministry project that died. I mean, I can tell you what it was. It was with Star King and blah, blah, blah. It died because it didn't work out. Because of the people that were supposed to join me, didn't work out. They didn't come. I worked in the AIDS epidemic as a volunteer for 11 years. I volunteer, many, many places. And I think it's that I don't have the chutzpah, the drive that you have. I do around the spirituality, the theology, the stuff that she teaches that is so important to me, but getting money to support me. I come out of a Jewish background, and I always said that I had to have a tent making ministry, so I'd be a secretary so that I can keep on volunteering. It's odd for me to use Jesus' words, but it takes a certain personality, and I can be assertive and aggressive, but okay, that's what I have to, that's what I want to say.
Thank you for sharing. And I totally resonates with me about like kind of who you are when you bring into whatever I bring into what I'm doing. I'm definitely there. But I also want to say this, I guess this was a calling, because when I was really little, I remember thinking something about helping all the poor people. And then again, even while I was an alcoholic, I was heading in that direction. And then I tried to start something called Sidewalk Zen when I got sober through the Zen Center, because I wanted to teach people to meditate on the street. And they were like, oh no, And so I've been pulled in this direction for years and years. And the fundraising part, whoa, I'm with you. I can barely make a living, and I've never made a good living. And I've worked all my life. Never made a good living. I don't have a savings account. I don't have a 401k. But we're good at other stuff. That's why we need people like Weta and Katie to show up in our lives and go, I'll get you some money.
It's about food and rent.
That's it. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Did you do your website before or after you received the assistance from these two ladies?
We had a website that my nephew made. So my family members jumped in and did stuff in the beginning. So Nick, my nephew back east, made a website 3 years ago. And we had it, we never touched it again because I was like, oh, I can't. And then just a month ago, Katie, the young lady who's joined the team to help us on a volunteer basis, threw up a brand new website. And everybody's like, damn, it looks so good. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Yeah, we put up a website earlier. Once we had the GoFundMe, we used GoFundMe just all the time until just now, because I didn't have the bandwidth to find a better donation thing. But once we had that GoFundMe thing, we're like, okay, well, we need to have a website, you know, so people know what we're doing in case they want to go to the GoFundMe. So, yeah, but I think now it's way updated and different, and we're going to be able to update it more often and stuff.
yeah, it's quite nice.
Thanks.
Congratulations on everything. And I think my second question, or I don't know if it's a question, but just from my heart to yours, I don't think there's any rule that says that we have to be impoverished in order to do our calling. And it is a lesson that I have learned it's a lesson that I am actually putting into practice myself right now. And I got I've been listening to a lot of Joel Goldstein's tapes. He was a prophet, New Thought, inspirational leader in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I think he died in 64. And he had this recording that I listened to a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how he used to pass the collection hat, and he had just given the greatest speech he had ever done, and all these metaphysical things had happened, and he passed the hat and people were putting dimes and quarters in, and they didn't even realize how profound what had just come through him was. You know, they didn't have a way to put value on it. So his teaching was that you have to put value on it, and you have to put value on where you want to be in life. And I'm saying you, but I don't mean you, I'm not trying to personalize it. I could be saying me.
Yes.
I have to too.
Yes.
But it was really awe-inspiring that somebody of his stature was actually at one point having to make a choice to set up his financials in a specific way so that he could sustain not only himself, but just be able to conduct the business that he wanted to do, to conduct the service. So I think it's, I'll speak in the I, it has been something that I have been afflicted with, and I am in the process of correcting. I have not made a living through my spiritual work. But I have business licenses and a website and a lot insurance and a lot of other things that require, I can't tell the state, oh, I'll pay you next week. So I think, I don't think you're alone out there, but congratulations on your spirit and your energy, because what has happened is you've now, God provides, right? And so you've now been gifted with these resources that will allow you to move your calling forward. And that's very inspirational. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. And for sharing your wisdom as well. And I just want to say that I think my self-worth, I didn't have as good a sense of self-worth going into this thing. And I've always lowballed myself in jobs and stuff. And I was always just happy somebody wanted to give me some money, And I think as my sense of pricelessness, as my sense of being connected to God grows, connected to community, not in charge, I am actually getting a little bit more money starting in January, and we are being able to tend to that more. I think as I realize that I deserve that it's good to get money. It's good to have enough. So thank you. You really affirmed that. You really affirmed that, something we're working on.
So I have question about, this is another practical question. Do these two people that joined your organization, are they on a volunteer basis or are they getting paid? They're volunteers.
They are currently both volunteers, and on multiple occasions over the last several months in our meetings, I've said, please, can we just give you some money? People need money. And both of them have assessed their situation and said, not yet. It doesn't have to happen right now. They're so keen on the mission and really into it that the board now knows that we really want them to have money. And so the board can push that a little bit on them, maybe once this money starts coming in, which, it is a little bit. But the truth is they are right now dedicated to building the infrastructure. And it looks like they both want to stay once that infrastructure is built. And so hopefully in the next quarter, I certainly hope that they're at least part-time on the payroll. But yeah, they're both just giving of their time right now, because Weta was in between things. She's like, I always volunteer, just like Reverend Fran said, I always volunteer when I'm in between things. And she found us, and I think she wants to put roots down if we're able to have her. So yeah. Thank you. And thank you for always being such a wonderful supporter, Barbara.
Okay. My pleasure.
Jump in, Terry.
Just trying to undo my mic there. A couple questions. One, well, first, a statement is to thanks for naming that, how important it's been to your ministry to take care of yourself and to do your own work. Because sometimes I feel a little odd about that and talking about that. And so appreciate your experience, strength, and hope around that subject. And I'm curious how much of the money that you're now getting requires you to be a 501c3. That requires you to be a nonprofit. Is all of it, some of it, most of it? Or if you know that right now, because
I would say this, that it's rather than sort of looking at it as a requirement, what I'd say is that in the beginning, when we were just trying to get it rolling, we had benefactors who were willing to donate without the 501c3. Once we started putting it out there in like the crowdsourcing, and again, crowdsourcing, you don't need to have a 501c3. You don't need to have one for them to send you money. But the people who are going to repeatedly donate, right? It seemed like for them, it would be good for us to have it too. So not just for tax purposes and everything, but for donors is what we were thinking, because then they can write it off. And so now that bigger amounts are coming, it is important to just have it, because those folks want to write 10 or 20K off their taxes. That's one of the reasons they give money away. So, but I would say it's not so much a requirement as if you kind of want to do it legit and long-term and get bigger amounts, people are going to want you to have that nonprofit status. And it's not super hard to get. It's just a lot of freaking paperwork, and LegalZoom did a really good job, and I just paid them. I did it online, answered their questions, and they did it. Yeah.
this is more of a question about your ministry, but how you landed on harm reduction versus pushing sobriety, if you don't mind speaking to that.
Absolutely. Because I got sober in a 12-step community, which is abstinence-based, which has sort of like a theological sort of tension sometimes with harm reduction community, even though it's not necessary, it's there. There's a dogma thing there. But what I saw, so I got sober in a 12-step program, but I worked with people in my case management and in my other jobs all day long who couldn't or chose not to get completely clean or sober. And I realized we got to celebrate every step anybody takes towards a happier life or towards being their true selves. We applaud it, right? So I was working with a lady who was she was a chronic alcoholic. I can't stop drinking. I can't stop drinking. She goes, but I did buy the short bottle of vodka this morning instead of the tall one. And I just went freaking nuts. Oh my God, that's freaking huge. That is a change. That is changing your relationship with alcohol. And she lit up. And that's why harm reduction is so important to me. And the other reason is the people Greg works with folks who really are just out on the street. A lot of them are using hard drugs regularly. And harm reduction says, I love you. Here's a clean needle. I respect you. Here's a condom. And so I realized also in my life that I needed to start employing harm reduction with myself. Some of you know I'm green and sober. That I have ways that I treat myself now that bring me comfort and relaxation and calm. And I don't have to be perfect. I can have that piece of chocolate cake too. You know what I mean? So something about being softer on myself and learning from clients made me realize that harm reduction is the way to meet people spiritually too. It's just celebrate every connection that they have and learn, celebrate strengths and all that good stuff that we do, in kind of a recovery model in mental health. Yeah. I'm kind of rambling now, so I'm going to shut the hell up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question. Celia, I think you have a question too.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Celia. What I really appreciate most is the way you come to this work. Means you went out and did the work and to let the work heal you. But at some point in time, you become that conduit where people want to join you because your mission is becoming very clear. So they join you because they know what that mission is. Mm-hmm. So they're able to contribute without you searching for yourself. Yeah. I mean, I do believe there's a whole lot of people who are out there wanting to help if you make it real clear about how they can help. So I'm in that same spot. Means it's not about creating a structure that always going to, I come from business, so that's not really that difficult, but the difficult part is get clear about what is it that I want to make a difference about, and then the second thing I hear you say, it's not like you have to get people to the promised land, you know what I mean? It's like they can't be all sober by tomorrow. So, but along the way, what you're doing is you celebrate their humanity, and that is all there is to it. I can't save somebody, but I could get them started. Yeah. So, and that's something that I'm very touched by what you said. And also I know it's so not easy to get grants, to sustain yourself, all of that. And my last question is, do you actually have other people working with you now on the streets and do this thing?
So that's a great question. So it's been me and Greg the whole time, and we've had different people pop in to volunteer here and there. Yeah. Right now, though, like Katie, the young woman, has brought her roommates aboard, and they're these just super fiery, brilliant young women who came out with me to the tiny home site on Monday, and they fell in love with the work. And so now Katie is saying, "Oh, I want to work on a youth program. I want to work on, and so we really it keeps opening and opening." So I'll say it's really Greg and I are the primaries doing the services, but what we see coming is many more people, us being able to bring people with us and share the way of how we're doing things and let them have that joy. I hope. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insight and your questions. Yeah. Pretty cool. Well, and maybe I'll just say that ChI utterly transformed me. So I don't want to turn this into an infomercial for ChI because a lot of you have already been there. But man, the doing the 12 modules in a row in 2018 in a loving, safe, supportive circle of wise and empathic people transformed me, and I healed, and my inner child began to heal, and I began to learn how to grieve. I began to learn how to be part of a team. I trusted the people and I love them still. So that's real too. If it wasn't for ChI, none of this would be happening. This would not be happening. Yeah, that's, my brother put me through ChI. And my sister helped pay for my groceries because I could only work part-time because I was so overwhelmed. And ChI was the best thing I ever did. The best, besides getting sober, it was the best thing I ever entered into, because look what happened. Yep.
And I just want to say it's stories like that that make all the work of running ChI worth it. So thank you, Anne-Marie, for
Thank you,
your
Katrina.
experience. Certainly. Does anybody else have questions about Anne-Marie's work or nonprofit ministry or anything else? Chaplaincy Institute, I see many of you are very familiar with us already, but any questions at all?
Katrina, what you just said about recently, it was from the very beginning. That people were very committed and held on, even through all our troubles. And we
Oh,
had,
I know that. Yeah, I'm not sure what I said recently about, but I've
you
been
just
around.
said the words that she has done so much for so many people, and it felt recent, a recent statement. But I'm just saying, from the beginning.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've got some history at ChI too, and I know that it's been long, strong stories for sure.
That's because the mission matters. And that's why it's still around. Yeah, it's the people, but it's the mission is so important of ChI. And see, because you could see what's happening, the ripple effect of just one person going, then we get to start this thing. And then all the hundreds and hundreds of people have all gone out to heal the world. So it's because the mission is so vital that we have to always keep ChI around. And that's what people did. And in people I ordained with rallied around ChI when it was falling apart recently, not that long ago, falling apart financially. There was a lot of trouble. We're transparent. And they jumped in to work for ChI, to help ChI, to run ChI, to do ChI. I mean, like, because we love ChI, because we know that if it didn't exist, we wouldn't have the lives we have today. That's the real deal. Thank God for the founders. Thank Goddess for all of you, everyone who's been there from the beginning. Yep.
So if anybody missed it, I see that Carrie just posted, not just, but Carrie posted in the chat the contact form that you'd fill out if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody. Just let us know what you're interested in and what you'd like to talk about, and we will set up a time to meet on the phone or on Zoom as you prefer. Any more thoughts?
The one thing I was going to say about mission statements, it doesn't come full blown. We worked on it and we worked on it, and more things that happened, we worked on it. And Gina would come up with these great ideas and I'd go, really? You know, and we finally we have it, but it took time. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Don't think your mission statement is going to come out of the ether.
It's already changed 3 times. We're still, we have one that we're using just right now that we've all agreed upon. But I think you make a really important point, which is it's an unfolding. A mission unfolds. It doesn't, we don't get to just glue and paste it together. Like, it's going to show up the way it's going to show up And we're the ones that have with the responsibility to put language to it, or to let people know about it, or to find someone to make it some money so that we don't have to stop doing it.
And an organization and its mission statement evolve as things change around us, because the culture we live in is constantly evolving, and it sounds like there's a dynamic interface between the mission and what you're doing.
And reality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this was a
But I
joy,
think-
you guys.
I
I
think-
really enjoyed this. I feel honored that I got to come talk about Raising Sparks and got to hear all of the stuff you guys shared. Really cool.
I think I have a little bit of experience in this area about mission statements, and in the professional world, we would call it a brand statement. And I think that especially when you're as passionate as what you are doing, and I'm working on this myself right now, that you're, I don't know, maybe we'll call it the heart statement. But the, 3 words, what are those 3 words that are always going to get you? That I don't think is never going to change. There was something in you that sparked the fire to where you are today. And the mission statement may come, but God's calling is always going to be constant.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, right now for me, it's igniting the peace within you. And when I worked for Mars, it was no more than 7 words, 5 if you could get it, 3 if you could get it there. So colorful chocolate fun back in the 80s. So everything that we did was measured against those 3 words, so that we sort of never
Yes.
lost the calling. And I was told, gosh, I don't know, when I had my, let's see, when was it? 2007, 2010. I came up with igniting the peace within you, and I was just starting and didn't have any really spiritual foundation or anything, but just knew that business could be better. It could be
Yeah.
heart-centered, and it could be all these things. And I just wanted to ignite the peace within you, and I was told by a marketing person, nobody's going to ever understand what that means. And here I am almost 20 years later, redefining and massaging everything, and what's coming out, igniting the peace within you. So I would, it's worth doing some introspective work on what is the calling, and get it down to those 3 to 7 words, because it will never leave you. And as you think you're coming up with some really great idea, when you go back to those 3 to 7 words, it's going to be, but is it this?
Yeah.
Are we straying off of this?
Yes.
And it has served me. It has served me through all aspects of my life.
Love that. Thank you.
So I think, I don't know, we might have to massage it if anybody's got any ideas, but right now we'll call it the heart calling.
I love it.
Neither do
And I
I.
just love what Sally just put in the in the chat. Let the calling be your bouncer.
Are you, part of the curriculum that right now, are they reading the book Callings?
No, that was assigned when I was a student, but not currently.
Oh, that's really, 2000, it really pulled me. You know,
Good book.
but
Yeah.
it redefined, it gave me words for what I had done as a religious educator all those years. And then this whole idea of being able to start something that wasn't institutional. I haven't done it, but
Finding your own way to go out and change the world, right?
yeah, I went back into institutions with ChI, 3 religious perspectives, but still.
Any more thoughts or questions about any of this? Carrie, do you have something to throw in the mix?
I just want to circle back to, Fran, it was your comment about institutions. Marie, what you said about how important it is to take care of yourself, to feed, and you had really good words. How important it is to feed yourself, to take care of your own spirit. As you begin, as you continue, even if you are in an institution, I don't know if we can call ChI an institution, but that's where I work. And it's really important to take care of myself first, because if I come empty, that's not the energy we want. So I just say a little bit more about how that's been for you, the transformation.
Into self-care. Like, oh, it was because I was making myself sick. And so usually I have to get sick or really depressed or really on the edge of the abyss before I make a change. And this was not different from that. It's like, but so one of the things that I realized is that I can cause harm without realizing it to people I'm working with.
Yes.
If I'm unconsciously using them to avoid my feelings and to feel good about what I'm doing and to feel like I'm serving and all that good stuff that we do enjoy doing. And so I had to do kind of the hard work of refraining sometimes and looking at the anxiety of not helping and looking at like, where's my self-worth coming from? And, you know, my partner had to do a lot of that work too. So I kind of feel like we got pushed to do that, because otherwise you're not really you got to bring your whole self to this. You can't, it's not just handing somebody a pair of socks and saying, God bless you. It's like wholehearted showing up the way we do, right, as chaplains. And to do that all the time, yeah, you have to work less hours. You have to start letting love in, because I could be all day like, I love you, I love you, I love you. We're all really good at that. But then when you need to receive and you can't receive, right? It's like, oh, wait a minute. And I realized I'm expecting these people to receive. I want them to take what I'm giving. I gotta have to start letting some of this back into myself, because I've had low self-esteem and I've had mental health challenges. But, you know, I think we all have that propensity to almost bypass ourselves in service to others. And I don't want to bypass myself anymore, because I can see how it can ripple out and be less helpful and less authentic to the people I'm serving, even though they'll love me anyway. They'll see I'm serving myself and I'm trying to reduce my own anxiety by helping them, and they'll give me a big hug and love me anyway. But I don't want that. I want to love this one so that I can really embody what I'm trying to share. Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I don't remember the question, but you're welcome.
That's good.
I just went off. I have no idea.
Got you going there. It was really good.
Anyone else questions for Anne Marie or for Katrina or for me or for each other?
Well, it is so lovely having you all here. This is such a beautiful treat at the end of a day. So thank you for showing up. This is your last call for questions. If you want to hear more specifics about the programs that we offer, the ordination process that the Chaplaincy Institute and Carrie oversee, hang around if you'd like to, or get in touch with us directly, and we will tell you whatever you'd like to know.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Carrie, for being such a wonderful community minister to ChI. You really make it feel like a spiritual home. You know,
Love you all.
we needed that. Thank you.
And Anne Marie, again, thank you for showing up and sharing, and for doing the work you're doing, and for believing in your vision and persisting and doing the work you needed to do to make it happen. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You are welcome. And thanks to ChI for helping transform me into a person who's able to keep growing and giving and all that good stuff.
You did the work.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
with
guys.
us.
And celebrating everybody on the path here.
Bye.
Honor to be with you all.
Thank you.
Katrina, I will.
You will.